The Boston Celtics just hit the panic button, and the fallout is just beginning. What started as a calculated financial maneuver has erupted into something far more volatile in Boston. In a span of days, the Celtics unloaded Jrue Holiday to Portland and shipped Kristaps Porzingis to Atlanta, moves that didn't just save them money. They slashed nearly $200 million in luxury tax obligations and cut $28 million in salary, like a team bracing for an earthquake, not a title defense. And make no mistake, an earthquake is exactly what's coming with Jayson Tatum, expected to miss the entire 2025-26 season due to a devastating Achilles tear. Boston is suddenly left with a hollowed-out core, their two remaining pillars, Jaylen Brown and Derrick White. But even those names, once untouchable, are now hovering in the trade rumor mill. The whispers aren't just idle talk anymore. Multiple front offices around the league are circling, sensing vulnerability and trying to pry loose a piece of the Celtics' shrinking empire. Boston owns only the 28th pick in Wednesday's NBA draft, a virtual afterthought. If they want to climb the board and secure real talent, parting with Brown or White might be the price. White is coming off a career year and just signed a 4-year, $129.5 million extension. Brown, meanwhile, underwent knee surgery just weeks ago, yet remains one of the most physically dominant wings in the league and the highest-paid player in NBA history. Let that sink in. The Celtics may consider trading the $304 million man less than a year after winning it all. Why? Because without Tatum and without Holiday and Porzingis, the entire championship blueprint has collapsed. What Boston built was a super team on paper, but now it's just paper burning fast under the heat of brutal cap realities and a ticking clock. And yet, despite the financial strain, Boston isn't waving the white flag, not yet. League insider Jake Fisher reports that the Celtics have made it clear they want to keep Brown and White, but want doesn't always survive contact with necessity. Rival teams know this. That's why trade buzz around Boston is growing louder, not quieter. As the draft approaches, the Celtics aren't just managing a roster anymore. They're navigating a potential identity crisis. One more move, and the franchise that lifted the trophy in 2024 could look unrecognizable by the time October rolls around. Jayson Tatum's injury update sparks major questions about Celtics' future. The silence has been broken, but what we're hearing should make Celtics fans very uneasy. In an interview with The Garden Report, veteran forward Torrey Craig offered a brief but telling update on LNBA star Jayson Tatum, who is 4 weeks into rehabilitation following a devastating Achilles tendon tear. The injury occurred in Game 4 of the Celtics' second-round playoff collapse against the New York Knicks, a moment that not only ended Boston's postseason dreams, but may have just derailed their next 2 years of contention. Craig, who has been around the team during rehab sessions, painted a calm picture. "I see him smiling, laughing, joking around. It's good to see him in good spirits." But behind those smiles lies a grim truth. Achilles tears don't just heal, they haunt. Tatum's timeline for return remains uncertain, and with how vital his athleticism is to his two-way dominance, there's no guarantee he ever looks the same again. And here's the kicker. The Celtics might already be preparing for a future without him. Craig himself, 34, and heading into free agency, is reportedly being considered for a return on a veteran minimum deal. Why? Because Boston knows they need warm bodies at the wing spot, fast. Without Tatum for potentially the entire 2025-26 season, the Celtics have a massive hole in both production and leadership. But the instability doesn't end there. Behind the scenes, Anfernee Simons, the Celtics' newly acquired guard in the Jrue Holiday trade, didn't even want to be here. According to reporting from Gary Washburn, Simons requested a trade out of Portland long before Boston entered the picture, with his eyes set on Orlando. In the chaotic aftermath of the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics have pulled the trigger on a pair of moves that have sent shockwaves through the league. In what can only be described as a brutal financial purge, they've shipped out both Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, pillars of their recent title run, purely to slash salary and duck under the second apron. These weren't strategic basketball decisions. They were fiscal executions. The timing couldn't be more jarring. Just weeks ago, Boston was being hailed as a dynasty in a franchise poised to dominate the East for years. Now, they're tearing it all down at warp speed. Gone are the championship veterans. In their place, cap space and question marks. With the Celtics now looking to the NBA draft to restock their rapidly hollowing roster, the mood has shifted from confident to cautious. Picks 28 and 32 aren't exactly franchise changers, and while there's hope for young, cost-controlled talent, nobody in the league believes this is how title contenders reload. The fallout has already been felt in Vegas. Boston has plummeted. 9th in championship odds at FanDuel, plus 1,700. A staggering drop for a team that was the odds-on favorite just months ago. And let's be honest, no combination of late first-rounders is going to move that needle. This draft isn't a fix. It's a starting point. What comes next could redefine the entire Brad Stevens era. Will he double down on youth and flexibility? Or is this just the quiet before another seismic move? One thing's certain, the Celtics off-season is no longer about fine-tuning. It's a total recalibration of identity, and the league is watching closely. Stay locked in. Round 1 tips. Off tonight at 8 p.m. EST, with Round 2 wrapping up Thursday. This is just the beginning. The Celtics' championship high just crashed into reality, and Tatum's injury makes it even worse even before the Celtics' playoff run collapsed in shocking fashion. There were rumblings behind the scenes, not about basketball, about money, about consequences, about the cold reality of being a repeat tax offender in the NBA's new financial structure. And now, those rumors have exploded into facts. In the span of mere days, Boston unloaded Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis because they didn't fit, not because they underperformed, but because the front office was cornered. The second apron penalties were too steep, the financial pressure too intense. Ownership blinked, Brad Stevens executed. And just like that, the Celtics sacrificed key pillars of their championship core in the name of fiscal survival. It wasn't a strategic pivot, it was damage control. Now, as the NBA draft unfolds and free agency looms like a storm on the horizon, Boston is no longer tweaking around the edges. They're gutting and rebuilding a title-winning roster that, only a few weeks ago, looked like the beginning of a dynasty. The clock has been reset, and the silence around Jayson Tatum has only made things worse. Because the biggest blow of all, it wasn't financial, it was physical. The face of the franchise, the man who carried the banner, in June, is now rehabbing a torn Achilles. Tatum, the 26-year-old Ulanba cornerstone, is out indefinitely and, very possibly for the entire next season. The Celtics haven't confirmed a timeline, they haven't said much at all, but we finally heard something. In an interview with the Garden Report, Torrey Craigwin of Boston's recent additions offered a rare glimpse into Tatum's rehab. After posting a video from the team's facilities, Craig described seeing Tatum in good spirits, working with his trainer, joking around with teammates. He's always there, Craig said, working, smiling, grinding. And while that's reassuring, fans know the road ahead is brutal. Achilles tears are career-altering. Kevin Durant needed 18 months, Klay Thompson needed 14. Came back looking like a different player. Kobe Bryant fought through 8 months of rehab but was never the same. Only Durant has managed to fully regain his elite form. The odds are stacked. Tatum, though, has two things in his favor: his youth and his playing style. Like Durant, his game isn't built entirely on explosive bursts or brute athleticism. He's methodical, smooth, cerebral. That might save him, but optimism doesn't erase reality. And the reality is this: the Celtics are entering next season without their MVP candidate, without two of their top veterans, and with a roster that's being torn down and rebuilt on the fly. This is no longer about title contention. This is about survival, about navigating a financial minefield, a medical rehab timeline, and a locker room in flux. Boston just won a championship, but if you're expecting a repeat, brace yourself, because what's coming next might look nothing like what we just witnessed.